putting themselves in a position to become tomorrow's masters of the new source materials. Everything begins to link. You know, stardust is now the secret holder of the force of life. It's the origin of life. It's the giver of life. Well, so were monatomic elements. So were the ancients saying about the shamana and the mufkut. It was all the same thing. Every description of these substances was always the same. We think about the Bible story. We think about how we can make monatomic elements now. We need electronic devices. We need fire. We need all sorts of things. But we need electricity. In one way or another, we need electricity. And this is the one bit of the equation that has to be got through very quickly, because this is our last remnant, we think, about electricity. How are we going to produce electricity to manufacture our fuel cells if we don't have the fossil fuels to have our power stations? We get electricity from its most natural source, which is around us all the time. What we need is a device that will attract electricity, that will store electricity, that will discharge electricity in a very controllable form, in enormous quantities, however we need to do it. That's all the Ark of the Covenant ever did and all it ever was. If you look at the construction of the Ark of the Covenant, it is no more than a model for every capacitor made today, whether it's a capacitor for lighting up street lighting or whatever. An insulated, double-plated box with a positive and a negative node at the top. That's it. That's all it is. And you look at the description of the Ark of the Covenant in the Bible, which is given twice. You take every measurement, you manufacture it with the materials that it says in accordance with everything it tells you, and you have a 100,000 volt immediate electronic capacitor. You do what the Bible says, and you place an ohma of the shamana in it, golden pot of the white powder, you place it in there, you've immediately got a superconductor. You've immediately got a device that sets up its own Meissner field, which will levitate, which will be able to travel on its own, which will be able to issue gamma rays or whatever you need it to do. A very, very powerful device. We have to go back to these very simple devices that simply pull it in and hold it and issue it. The Ark of the Covenant is not wrongly named. It's spelt with a K in the Bible because that was the Greek way of spelling it. In every other language it's spelt with a C, and electronic arcing actually comes from that very same word. So everybody's now working on all of these things. NASA has developed its Breakthrough Propulsion Physics Project. That's what it calls it. What's the Breakthrough Propulsion Physics Project? It's how to get the stars by bending and manipulating space-time. That's what they're working on right now. Anti-gravity, that's the other thing. That's not necessarily just about spacecraft, that's about ordinary aircraft. Quite a lot in the press and on the internet, here from the UK Ministry of Defence and from the BBC. Anti-gravity propulsion is coming out of the closet, says Defence Weekly. Well, to this end, British Aerospace over in Britain has embarked on Project Green Glow. Over here at the top secret Phantom Works in Seattle, Boeing technicians are working on Project Grasp. They're very, very similar. They're both looking at anti-gravity aircraft. Why do we need aircraft that can fall down? We want aircraft that just stay on their frequencies and go wherever we turn the knob to tell them to go. In fact, they don't need pilots, really. Just send them places. This picture here is British Aerospace's latest design for a new stealth aircraft. Why do we just have to have something that radar can't see when we can actually produce things that we can't see? In fact, we can produce things that aren't even invisible. They're not in our time dimension. They've moved from our visible plane. Wouldn't it be wonderful if there was a stealth aircraft that simply left here and couldn't be seen by anybody because it wasn't there, because it was travelling in a different dimension and simply came back where we wanted it to be? Now, by the same token, on that basis, why couldn't ordinary aircraft, our passenger liners, travel in that same way? It doesn't have to be a bomber. It doesn't have to be that. You know, why can't we all be travelling in different parallel dimensions and getting to places in 5 seconds instead of it taking 11 hours every time I come over here? We are finding the place where the stardust, the monatomic elements, meet the Stargate and will take us into the world of other dimensions, so that suddenly, as Puthoff says, we can't apply the laws of physics anymore. We have a whole new set of rules that belong to worlds and realms that we knew nothing about until now. we get to that point and just about everything that was impossible becomes possible. Thank you.